I was just getting so drunk and just like punting $1,000 of the pot.
Do you have a flush?
No.
I don't think I'm making a vlog out of this one. I have a 9 high flush. Oh! Nice one. I'm kind of tripping balls right now. Full disclaimer, I did not do things correctly. After the first few weeks of me playing poker after graduating, I made over $40,000. I went from having like $2,000 or $3,000 to my name to all of a sudden having around $45,000. My path to getting there, I probably did every single incorrect step that I was supposed to be doing. I was playing in games that were way too big for me. I was playing in tournaments. I just developed this ego that I just thought I deserved to win, and it was just like my whole life kind of started to fall apart. When your mentality struggles like that, when you're playing, everything goes down. I gained a bunch of weights. I wasn't even enjoying playing poker anymore. It was time for me to like take a step back and like reflect of like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I playing poker? The purpose of this vlog is kind of for me to just like figure myself out. Like, I think it will be a really cool and interesting journey for you guys to follow, because like I'm gonna try to be as transparent as possible. I'm trying to figure out my reality through this game. Well, this session that I'm about to show you, it's pretty cool. It's honestly from like November. There are a lot of interesting hands, a lot of hands that I definitely torch. There are a couple 2K plus pots, but I blind raced to 40 in a hand. Hopefully you guys stick around to watch it. I'm excited, hope you're excited, and let's get to the hands. We immediately get in an interesting spot when we're dealt pocket sixes from under the gun and racing's up to $20. The +1 calls, the small blind calls, so we're going 3 ways to a 9-6-3 flop with 2 diamonds. We flop a hidden middle set on a wet and connected board, and I think since we're unblocking top pairs and flush draw holdings, we could bet larger to target those types of hands. So I chose to bet $35, but looking back, I definitely could have went a little bigger. They actually both ended up calling, so we're going 3 ways to a king of spades turn. This brings in a second flush draw, and I thought this card was really good because now there's a wider range of hands that my opponents can call with. I think this spot would actually be really good to overbet, especially with my specific holding. I ultimately decided to bet $125, and they both actually ended up calling. Both flush draws ended up missing on a offsuit 7 river, and I wanted to pick a sizing that would get a random 2-pair holding a call, so I bet $420. They both eventually folded, and we take it down. Next interesting spot, we pick up a pretty 8-9 of clubs from under the gun, and racing's up to $20 again. The cutoff, small blind, and big blind all call, so we're going 4 ways to a queen, jack, 6, all clubs flop. So we flop a flush. Nice. I chose to check, but I think this is just a mistake. Especially with going 4 ways and being out of position, I can get value from lots of hands, including top pairs, 2 pairs, pairs plus flush draws. There's also a lot of bad turn cards. I think I should just bet this hand always in this type of situation. Well, it ends up checking around, and the turn comes one of those cards, a board pairing jack. I think now it's the time to start pumping money into the middle, so I bet $45. The cutoff call and the small blind calls. So now we're going 3 ways to a river, which is probably the worst card in the entire deck, which is a queen. So now any queen or jack makes a full house, and my flush went from 0 to 0. It checks to the cutoff, who bets for $100, and I just muck my hand. I don't know. This next hand is probably one of the more interesting hands of the session, and I pick up ace-6 of spades in the small blind. There's a middle position raised to 20, a flat in the cutoff, I call, and the big blind calls. So we're going 4 ways to a 6-4-3 with 2 spades flop. So I have top pair and the nut flush draw on a wet board. It checks to the cutoff, who bets for $40, and with such a wet board, I think this is a good spot for me to put in a raise, because I'd have so much equity against literally any holding. I raised to $125, and she calls. The turn is the best card in the deck when it comes to deuce of spades. Normally, I would keep up the aggression after check raising the flop and getting called, but I think that a lot of my check raises would actually not really like this card at all. Like if I had a set or a 2 pair maybe. Also, this card can improve my opponent's hand in the case that she had an open ender or even a smaller flush draw. I decided to check it over to her, and she bets out for $300. Now that she's betting again, I think her range now consists of straights or smaller flushes, which is why I'm thinking my decision to just flat call her $300 might have been a mistake, but I decided to just call. The river comes another deuce, and I ended up checking in flow, and she snap checks back what she said was a straight. I'm a bit frustrated with myself in that I went on autopilot mode and decided to check it over to her in the river. I think on this card, I could maybe just place a small bet to try to get a straight or a smaller flush to call, because I think the river makes it more unlikely that she would bet hands like this. I also shouldn't really be scared of too many full houses in her range, because I don't think those hands would bet so large on the turn, and might even consider 3-betting my check raise on the flop. Well, we live and we learn. Moving on. Well, I managed to get peer pressured into putting on a $40 blind raise. And normally I wouldn't do this, but I'm playing with some friends who all give action, and I live by the mantra, give action, get action. My friend Jason raises things up to $125 in the straddle without touching his cards. My friend Rish calls to his left, and I wake up with Queen 9 of diamonds. I think this is always just a flat call, so I decided to defend. So we're going 3 ways to a massive flop of Jack 8-6 with 2 diamonds. Beautiful. He continues the story of blind strength and bets again for $225. Rich calls, and I have 2 options. I could call here and play in position for the rest of the hand, or I could just ship it in. I have queen high, and there's a ridiculous amount of dead money in the middle. If I call, he would only have about a pot size left bet, so might as well push my full equity now. I decide to just go all in for about $950 effective, and he decides to finally see what he has.
If this is a jack, I'm just snapping though.
I know, Jason.
Oh, no. But this could be. Oh my god!
Do you have kings?
No.
Oh, you have ace king?
I didn't get those all blind. Ugh.
Well, he actually had a monster in ace king of spades, but about 0 equity on this board. So he folds and we take it down. I guess the blind 40 worked.
That's blind.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's Jason, and this is not going to be the only semi-blind hand I play against him tonight. So get ready for that one. So there's a raise from the cutoff to $20, and I have 9-7 of clubs in the small blind. Pretty sure this is just a full pre-flop, but I decided to call because we're really deep. It might be fine, but probably not, who knows. It ends up going heads up to an ace-7-4 flop with 1 club. It checks to her and she bets out for $40, which is actually massive. She chose a basically pot-sized flop bet, and I wasn't sure how to interpret it. But I flopped a pair, didn't think too much of it, and just called. The turn's a queen of clubs, so now we have a flush draw to go along with our pair. So when she chooses to bet out for $125, I feel like I have to call. The river comes to jack of clubs. I decide to check and flow, and she bets out for $400. Well, I think this hand is pretty unusual. 3 straight streets, it went check, bet pot, call. Check, bet pot, call. And now I'm facing another check, bet pot situation. And to be honest, I was not expecting to face this. I decided to jam for 600 more, and I think this confused her so much because I don't think she was expecting that at all either. She ended up having 10-8 of clubs and completely owned me in a $2,500 pot.
Oh.
Nice one. Well, that one kind of hurt. One of those things where I could have just avoided a lot of damage, but went a wrong turn and it all just erupted. Ended up losing some smaller pots and topping off my stack to 1,000 again. And in this last hand of the session, our nemesis is named Jason. He raises things up to $25 on the button without looking at his cards. So the small blind calls, and of course I call too because I have pocket 3s, and we could flop a set. We ask and we shall receive. When the flop comes down, Jack 9-3 with 2 hearts, and we smash it, flopping bottom set. It checks to him, and he bets for $75 without looking at his cards again. After I confirm this, I raise things up to $175 because I'm tilted and greedy. He ends up calling still without having seen his cards, and the turn brings a 5 of hearts, completing the front door flush draw. I didn't see any reason to stop betting just because he still hasn't seen his cards yet. So I bet out for $175 again, and now he finally takes a glance at his cards. And this happens. I mean, I ended up just snap calling him because I could see no way I could fold when taking this action. And he flips over ace deuce of hearts. We couldn't boat up on this river and we end up getting stacked again. So this session was an absolute nightmare. I lost, well, it says $2,100, so I guess I lost $2,100. I don't know, this is one of those things where I have to work on my mental to try to become stronger, and hopefully I do. what's up guys, for those that are still here, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I'm trying to find more and more creative ways to push out my content, and in terms of referring back to what I was saying in the beginning about me making that money right after I graduated college, I think I'm going to be releasing a full video of it soon, talking about what happened, what I do, how did I lose that money, how did I made that money, what were all the stupid decisions I did, because there were a lot, and I think it's pretty interesting. So hopefully you guys are getting ready for that, because I'm pretty excited to make that. Hopefully these just get better and better. See you guys.